we submitted an application to the Tasmanian Community Fund to fund the Mentors Violence and Prevention program. And what that is, it's a bystander program. It's about teaching individuals in the community about how to respond to family violence and how they can intervene as a bystander, but also talking to them about what family violence is so they can recognise it in their local community. What we actually did is we started to look at the programs that we have here in Tasmania. We knew that the state government had undertaken a review of the family violence service system, and what the result of that review is that they identified that there needed to be community-led primary prevention activities across Tasmania to really look at how we could change that behaviour that perpetuates violence against women. So we knew that there was a need for it. We also looked at the number of incidents of family violence reports across the state, and we could see that they were actually increasing. And we knew from looking at national research that primary prevention was a way to change that behaviour that perpetuates violence against women. So we now had some stats that showed us that primary prevention is really important. We had our evaluation of our pilot to show that it could actually work in our local community. And then we just needed funding to actually deliver that statewide. And then we sat down and we looked at the Tas Community Fund application, and it was really important that we understood what the Tasmanian Community Fund were after when they were assessing these applications. And then we looked at, well, how can we show the Tasmanian Community Fund that this is needed in Tasmania, and that we can show them that there is that actual need there. So not just us saying we need this in Tasmania, but we have these statistics to back this up. I mean, we were really excited to hear that we'd been invited to do a presentation, so we obviously knew that we'd progressed to the next stage. So we met with our partnering organisations. The Hobart Women's Shelter was the lead in this process, but we all agreed it was really important that myself as the CEO, but also the other CEOs of our partnering organisation went along to do that presentation. So the Tasmanian Community Fund could see that as our partnering organisations in the Hobart Women's Shelter, we're serious about delivering this program, and that's why it was important that all CEOs were actually there in the room together. So what we actually did is we spoke to them about our application, but we also talked about how it's really important for a program of this nature to be led by family violence specialists, women's specialist organisations, because we could partner together. So when we're out delivering those workshops in our local community, we've got a representation from housing, we have representation from health, legal, and also family violence counselling. So that was really important. It was a really key point to get across to the Tasmanian Community Fund. One of the questions we had was that in our application we had identified that when we're out delivering some of these programs, that some of the people that are participating and attending might find it quite triggering. So it was really important that we could also offer counselling to those that were participating. They wanted to know how we would be working together, how we would be looking at how we continually improve the program, how we would be evaluating the program, how we'd be communicating with each other to make sure that we're all across, what's happening, I suppose, but also making sure too that we're meeting our goals and our objectives for the TCF. Yeah, we were really happy. When we did the presentation, we thought it'd gone quite well, but you never know, do you, until you receive the news. We were really delighted, and we really think that the Tasmanian Community Fund were really forward-thinking about this program. We're hearing a lot now from other stakeholders, but they're also looking at primary prevention community-led programs, and we've been invited to have some conversations around that because we're already doing this, and the Tas Community Fund are supporting this. So we really think it was, forward-thinking on their part.